Before we get into things tonight, a couple of things that we talked with what happened in Newtown, Connecticut last Friday. And I thought maybe if we could have a moment of silence for those folks that have suffered so much in Newtown. And, you know, the children that were killed, and the teachers, the administrators, and the people that were lost. I know it has not left my mind since it happened, and I got notice of it last Friday, and I was out a little bit this weekend, you know, and truthfully it's holiday and party time, and there was no holiday and party in me. You know, it was just sadness. I just wanted to say that I hope that the healing begins in Newtown, and I know that my thoughts and prayers will be with all the victims, the families, the school system, its students and staff, and all the public officials and law enforcement officials as they sort things out. And they started the funerals today, and I think 2 of the young students were buried, and it's just so disheartening to see. But my prayers are out to them, and maybe just a moment of silence just for them. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. Before we open our meeting tonight, I've got a couple of things I'd like to be able to add to the agenda. We have a resolution I need to be able to add before before we go into executive session this evening. The resolution would be regarding the assistant treasurer. We'd like to be able to name Eileen as the temporary assistant treasurer at the town of Putnam, and assume the responsibilities of the treasurer on an interim basis. So I need to add that to the agenda. I also have received under correspondence this evening. Pass that down, please. Under correspondence, I need to add a letter that's been received by from Attorney St. Onge, from the attorney for John Perry, from Attorney O'Connell, Atmore and Morris, and that would be added to correspondence this evening. Doug, do I need a motion to add these 2 items? I need a motion.
You should come into
I have to go into session, but just to let you know that I will be doing that. We're going to call the meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. If you'd all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 would be public comment. Excuse me. Would anybody have any public comment? Yes.
Kim Gilbert, 62 Ross Hill Road. Peter, I was wondering if you could just clarify for me the issue of the 2 trucks that were purchased, the $150,000 2 trucks, I guess totaling $300,000. Could you clarify to me just what happened, because I couldn't quite understand.
Yeah, and I think I can clarify that. I'll do my best, let me put it that way, Kim. One of the trucks was authorized to be purchased under the last fiscal year, and prior to my administration, there was another truck that was ordered that wasn't within that budget period of time. The truck that I presented in my budget was for a truck that I needed to order. Unfortunately, it came in the end of June before the fiscal year ended, so it ended up going in the prior year against the prior year's budget. So essentially, we were going to order that truck, Kim. It just unfortunately was done inappropriately. I don't know what else to say.
When was the second truck paid for, or when were they both paid for?
Both were paid for, Doug, and help me in my mind, both were paid in the last fiscal year.
Right.
So there was an adjustment from this fiscal year to reimburse that expense.
Okay, so $150,000 from this fiscal year went to fiscal year 2011-12?
I believe, Doug, again, I was at that meeting. I'm not sure how they ended up, if they took it out of capital. Kim, I'd have to look back, but I'd be happy to get you an answer. I'm not sure if it was taken out of capital and they reimbursed capital And I believe
See
that's
what
how
the
it happened.
What the timing was.
Right.
Because of the way the timing was. but-
I guess my last question would be, if it's $150,000 and it only came before the Board of Finance, it didn't go to town meeting, why didn't it?
It was in the budget. It had been proposed in the budget. Normally speaking, if we knew of the truck and it was an error, and we
Mhm.
caught it, Kim, that would be one thing. We
Okay.
didn't. I didn't catch the error at the time, and that's where the issue comes in. As much as we planned, in my budget to purchase that truck, it came in the prior fiscal year.
Right. How does that get prevented from happening again?
We're working on a purchase order system, so that won't happen again.
Okay.
So we don't eliminate that error or that possibility of it ever happening again. So.
Okay.
Well, we talked, I don't think, in my memory, that it was ever an issue before, Kim. But thinking about it, I think it was taken out of capital, but I'll get you an answer. I'll
Okay.
talk to Paula and she can explain exactly where that money went.
Okay,
and how it's
I have one last question that's
Sure.
not related to the truck.
Yes.
How's the charter revision study group coming along?
Truthfully, I haven't worked on it a whole lot, but I will. Just a lot of other things, Kim, that have been going on, but as soon as we're ready, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Could you put that on the agenda for next month? Because I want to find some more information about this food truck purchase, how it was handled.
Sure.
If it followed charter, if the charter had been violated, because this was never brought before this board, that's the concern.
It was brought before the Board of Finance.
So it had to be brought before this board. Any purchase over $10,000 had to be brought before this board, before it's brought before the finance and the charter. I'm not making an issue out of it now, I want to have all the facts.
Yeah, no, I'd like to be able to do that.
And I think that if this is the case, then somebody didn't follow the charter. That any transfer or any money above $10,000 has to come before the Board of Selectmen prior to going to the Board of Finance. And if that's the issue, I need some answers to know why this board wasn't informed of why it wasn't brought to this board when a citizen has to bring it to the board. That's the question I have.
Yeah, I will do that. And not to add anything to it, it was public. I don't think Kim was at that meeting, we tried to hide anything or anything. It was made public, and but I'd be happy to.
Public, well, it was public at the finance board meeting, but not this meeting. This is what I'm talking about, Pete. This information should have been brought to this board before it was even brought to the finance board. If there was an issue with a truck coming in early or whatever the case may be, money was transferred without the permission of this board. And the Board of Finance should start reading their charter, and we want to make charter revisions, yet we can't even follow the charter. That's what I would like to know. And not to expand on it, but till I get all the information, if this is the case, then I would like to know when these purchase orders went in, who signed them, when the checks were issued.
There were no purchase orders at the time.
What requisitions, whatever was
Yep.
done with invoices, if I could have copies of them, because what
Yeah, I'll
bothers
get-
me the most, if this is the case, what bothers me the most about this is that if money was spent without proper authorization, even though it was in this year's budget, and yet it was paid in last year's budget without coming before this board or coming before the Board of Finance.
It went before the Board of Finance.
And it went before the Board of Finance whenever, but not prior to. In other words, if the purchase was made on last year's budget, when was the check issued? Was it issued June 30th of last year, or was it issued October 30th of this year? You know what I'm saying? Because if you get outside that budget year and reissue a check in the 2011-2012 budget, and the money wasn't there, then there's definitely a violation of the charter, and there's probably even more serious litigation. And I'm just saying that, it happened, but it wasn't brought before this board, and that's what bothers me the most.
I'll make sure that we get a explanation of what had occurred and when it occurred. Barney, if you happy to do
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Further public comment? Thank you all. Item 4 is approval of minutes. You have in your packet the minutes from December the 3rd, 2012. What would be your pleasure?
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So carried. Item 5 is petitions and communications. We have a letter dated November the 26th, 2012, from Wheeler Grader regarding the discharge monitoring report, October the 12th, October 2012. Report of its entirety can be reviewed in the mayor's office during normal business hours. In item B, and just to let you know, there was an update to the packet, and I think Denise made sure that you all got a copy. Letter dated December the 5th, 2012, from Wheeler Grader regarding the groundwater discharge permit, 60-day exceedance and notification. Report monitoring report, October the 12th, October 2012. And again, the report in its entirety can be reviewed in the mayor's office during normal business hours.
Pete, one question on that.
Sure.
I read it quickly in regard to the monitoring laws. Could I have a breakdown of what the town is responsible for as far as monitoring? I know we have some laws that we have to monitor. Wheeler Grader pays for most of the monitoring. Okay, I would like to know what our yearly cost is in regards to our cost of monitoring the wells. Not Wheeler Grader's, is that possible? I think there's about $3,000 line item, as best I can check on it. I appreciate that. Thank
Sure,
you.
absolutely.
And also, in that letter from Donald, what do you say last name, Uziel?
Usually, yes.
You might want to let him know you're the mayor and Beans isn't the mayor anymore. He signed it, just be the mayor. That's pretty easy.
Very good. Item 6, reports of standing committees. A is the General Government Committee. Alma?
We had a wonderful meeting the other night, and we got a lot of things accomplished. We have more to work on, but as far as, and Doug, please chime in if I'm missing something, the house numbering policy is ready to go. Codification is close to being ready to go.
I'll have the next meeting finished.
Great,
3/4 way through it.
great. Blight ordinance, we're reworking that. We had some good input, good concerns, and we're hoping to come to a resolution with that. So that's on its way. And the MS4 draft ordinance, correct me, Doug? Where we at?
It's just a matter of reviewing with the people that we want to enforce it.
Okay. So anything that I missed?
One thing that we did discuss and was brought to our attention was under the blight ordinance that there's a significant amount of foreclosed houses in town, and that would have an impact on this whole question of blighted properties and what that impact is to the neighborhood. And so based on the information that was provided to us by the building official in terms of the number of properties that have been foreclosed on, I have directed both the planner and our economic community development director to put together a report on the impact of this in respect to their, in both their fields, relative to model practices that we could perhaps adopt or use in terms of tied in with the blight ordinance going forward, what kind of impact the foreclosed properties have as we go forward in terms of trying to come up with a process to enforce the blight ordinance if and when it's adopted.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, my question is, with the house numbering policy, since that is done and ready to go, I would like to see if we should schedule a town meeting for that, or if we want to hold off and get them all done at once. I think if we wait, the blight is going to be a while, for sure.
Can I ask a question? What's the MS4 draft ordinance? What's that?
That was the illicit and illegal dumping into the stormwater system.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's part of our stormwater protection plan.
Plan that we had to adopt
Because of the
for
aquifer
wells to
protection.
get, okay. Yeah.
And Alan, the only question I have with the numbering system is that, again, 4 inches high, 4 feet off the ground. Problem is the post office post boxes or mailboxes are 41, 45 inches.
Right.
So that kind of,
We had that conversation, and I think what we ended up doing was looking at those standards. And did we decide to change that? I thought we decided to go with the mailbox standards on that.
I don't know that.
No,
it's not.
we kept it the way the state statute said.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why we stayed with that. 'Cause
all right, so we
did have a
can't put them on
lengthy-
mailbox then is what we're saying.
Vast majority of the people in Putnam have them there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they do.
But it says they have to be 4 feet high.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of a contradiction.
You may need to put in an additional post with just the number.
Yeah, and we went back and forth with it because of the fact the mailboxes are that way. We stay with the state statute, and we can, if we wanna have us revisit that, I don't have a problem doing that, but that's why the state statute said, so we will try to be consistent with that.
I know we have a mailman here, so.
We don't.
Retired mailman. But I know there's certain postal regulations as well.
I don't think you have to worry about them too much.
Yeah.
They don't have much enforcement either.
No, I'm saying if we put something 4 feet off the ground though, I mean,
Yeah, and one of the things we talked about too was snow,
Right.
you know, and so that's why we, again, stay with the state statute, because it's a little bit higher, and if it's in the winter and all that kind of stuff, so. I think at the end of it all, we just said, let's
So
stay
what are you gonna do if someone just puts it in the mailbox?
I don't know.
Well,
that-
as long as the sign's reflective and it can be seen in both directions,
I think
that's
that was
the key
the
to
bottom
this.
line in the end of it, as long
Yeah.
as they have the sign and it's visible.
Yeah.
Could you
Nobody's
put
gonna
within
allow-
4 feet, or would that cover the state statute, or would that we could supersede the state statute by an ordinance, am I correct?
No.
We're not violating the ordinance.
We're not violating
But
it. We can make it more restrictive, we can't make it less restrictive.
If we're gonna stop penalizing someone $20 a day to do this, and then the neighbor has one on his mailbox, which is illegal according to this, then I mean, let's eliminate it, make it correct now.
yeah.
But otherwise, we're gonna be dealing with this rest of our, we have enough other business to go through and just numbering
Well,
systems.
then how are you gonna correct it?
You're just gonna eliminate the mailbox part of that,
Oh, okay,
so that you have to have a,
okay.
I mean,
Okay.
You're fine.
Well,
Anybody
I
else?
think the reason mailbox is on there is I don't think that's necessarily about a mailbox on a post. I mean, theoretically, you could have a mailbox mounted on the front of your house and the numbers be on the front of the mailbox. I don't think that means necessarily.
And businesses don't have mailboxes, they have P.O. boxes, their numbers are always over the doors.
Yeah.
Traditionally over the door,
Right.
which is a lot higher than 4 feet.
Yeah, but they
But
go
it's
4 to
probably
7,
under
right?
12.
Huh?
It's
4 to
between
12.
4 and 12
4
feet.
to 12.
Well, good, my sign in the road there, my it's up in the tree.
That'll do it.
But I also see these beautiful markers, sometimes people put these big finished stones in front of their properties that may be 2 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
Which is
If they're not reflective,
decorative,
though.
right, but most
Decorative.
people aren't digging those out if it snows either.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I think our biggest concern was just making sure that the rescue could find the people, and that's where we, as a committee, that's what we were most concerned about. We had the fire department here, and, that was what we were most concerned about.
Thank you, Alma.
Do you want us to pick up mail?
I'd feel comfortable with that.
Okay.
As far as moving these forward, don't you think that we'd do well to bring them forward individually?
I would think individually placed on a vote, but do it in the same night, otherwise we're gonna have people all over. Public hearing, right, you're talking about?
No.
No, we have to have a town meeting.
How long before the other ones come up? What are we talking, a couple months?
It could be that for Blight, it could be,
Yeah, there's a lot to do.
yeah. And it's not, we wanna make sure Blight's done properly, and, you know, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of pieces that were not part of that puzzle, or they may have been part of the puzzle, but we didn't realize how big the pieces were.
Okay.
So I'd rather make sure the Blight is done correctly, so.
And I saw that enforcement was gonna be done by a number of individuals, the zoning official. Do they have the powers under our charter? I didn't even look. To issue tickets, or would they have to be sworn in as constables?
They're not, it's not a service of legal papers
Yeah.
per se, it's a citation.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and it's only my opinion, if they're listed in the town, if they're listed by ordinance as an enforcement officer, the ordinance would give them the power to act on that specific ordinance alone, which would be the issuing of citation related to that ordinance.
And would we be required to issue an infractions as we know it, Rick, or would we have to address, that would have to go through the court, right? In other words, the infractions would have to be issued, a ticket, an infraction ticket, like a speeding ticket with violation of the ordinance on that infraction, Rick, right? Am I right, or did I lose something after being retired 15 years?
Somewhere down the road, this is gonna be my understanding is this is actually a civil process and not a
Right.
criminal process.
Right.
So once the notice is issued and then, the citation is issued, it actually becomes a lien on the property and not a monetary fine, so it's a civil action and not a criminal action.
Okay. That answered my question.
And the codification, that one I think we should probably do separately, because there may be a lot of questions on that.
Yeah.
So, I think house numbering should not be as labor intensive at a town meeting. It might, there still will be questions, I'm not saying there won't be, but I think, in my opinion, separating them might be a good thing, because I don't want people to get muddled too. And, you know, if there's a lot of information, they may not want to ask the questions, because we may be here a very long time.
Yeah.
So, I would think separating them might be good, but that's totally up to the board.
I'll go along with what you recommend. I mean, you're doing the work on it, so, you know.
What do you think?
I honestly believe you should do them individually.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think it'll become a long meeting, and I think people have become confused between any one of the number of items here, and things may get turned down unintentionally, so I think if you give proper due to each one of the items you have here, we're better off.
Okay. So do we need a motion to set a town meeting for the house numbering policy? Because actually, we gotta make sure that we take that out
Yep.
to make, so,
Bring it up next meeting.
yeah, why don't we do that? That way it's done until the official is here, the one
Okay.
last final draft is here.
And then, do you want the final draft included in the reference packet for
Yes,
this
please.
meeting?
And then we'll set the town meeting. Okay. Maybe by that one we'll be able to do the codification.
Very good. Thank you, Alma.
Mhm.
Reports of special committees. Item A is Wheelabrator Contract Review Committee update. And Scott, I know you're here.
Yep, well, we met tonight, and our next meeting is scheduled for January 9th at 6 PM.
Thank you so much. Item 8 is Economic and Community Development Report. I see Delta here. Delta?
Yes, good evening. Under the redevelopment agency, community development block grant, letters of announcements were sent to 27 residents who have been asked to be put on the waiting list for housing rehabilitation. That's been about a 2-year process. The office has started accepting applications as of December 4th, and so far 6 applications have been accepted. Now the applications will be checked for income verification eligibility, payment of taxes, financial equity in the home, and the completeness of the application. Lisa Lowe and Associates also called last week, and the state is moving their next application guideline up 2 to 3 months. So she's asking for the next application what we want to prioritize. So we'll be bringing that to the redevelopment agency. You do get 25 extra points on your application out of 100 if you do housing rehab. We've done quite a few. I think that we need to move on to something different, either economic development or sidewalks. Under economic and community development, the municipal brownfield pilot program, agreement for services documents have been drafted to provide the town of Putnam with consultant services from CME Associates, including hazardous building material inspection, historic documentation, demolition of non-essential buildings, and flood management certification. Right now, there's a conflict with Attorney St. Ange, so I've asked Attorney Ed Higgins to look at that draft. EPA Brownfield Assessment Grant, a coalition grant has been submitted with the participating towns of Putnam, Killingly, and Thomason. Suggested mill properties in Putnam have been discussed for assessment, including Belding Mill, Monahansett, and possible contaminated essential properties. 88 Main, conceptual and schematic designs are completed, as well as the construction documents. It says in my report that we were going to meet. We've actually already met. Carl Norton, the architect, Bruce Dexter, and myself met last week to put the timeline together for the construction documents and the pre-bid walkthrough on the property. And I know there's been a lot of questions why the construction documents took so long. And it seems that when some of the cornices on the corner of the buildings, to keep them architecturally intact according to SHPO, and we have to follow SHPO's guidelines. SHPO is the State Historic Office of Preservation. They're attached to the roof, so the roof is going to have to be done. We can't do that in our facade. And also, when buildings were built in the 1800s, the building was actually not anchored to the foundation. So we want to make that right at this point. So when we talked about the structure of the facade, so the building is structurally sound, we just want to connect it to the foundation, which is probably a really good idea. Quinebaug Regional Tech Park, a follow-up meeting on the progress of the tech park has been attended by myself, town administrator, Mary Grace, the Connecticut Deep Consultant, Connecticut DECD rep, town planner, civil engineers for site plan, NECOG Regional Planner Services for our utilities infrastructure, the YMCA reps and CME Associates Bridge Division. Doug may have more in his report about this. Review of task coordination and timeframes have been discussed and assigned to communicate services and keep the project moving forward in a timely fashion. Yukon Tech Park, the town administrator, town planner, and myself attended an informational session on December 4th to gain insight into the proposed technology and research center. Recognized benefits to the state would be to keep jobs in Connecticut and to grow the entrepreneurial environment. I think many of us EDC people know that it's really small jobs who create businesses. Benefits to Yukon would be to enhance research operations, leverage academic programs, and to serve as a technology partner for state and federal funding partnerships. It is clearly an opportunity for a collaborative partnership with proposed regional technology park planned to be hosted in Putnam. CERC and the regional marketing strategic planning, Ron Johnson and myself have been involved in conversations for the development of a regionally based economic development strategy. The Connecticut Economic Resource Center has been contracted by NECOG to facilitate a regional marketing approach through a SWOT analysis. Emphasis is being endorsed by a tactical approach to recruitment, retention, outreach, and sustainability for commerce growth in the northeast corner. Doug and I also happened to attend the NECOG annual meeting, and there was a senator, oh yes, and he was the guest speaker, and he clearly talked about regional concepts, everything from shared superintendents, especially in small communities, just a myriad of different regional projects that could be looked into. HealthQuest and Follow the 50 permission had been granted from the Special Services District, thanks to Chief Hayes, to apply for Follow 50 logos on Main Street and Kennedy Drive as awareness for women's heart health and the town of Putnam's commitment as a HealthQuest partner. The project was completed with the assistance of Selectman Sinay, Linda Colangelo, myself and my husband, and the Putnam Police Department assisted with traffic control. We had a blast. Barney was a really, really hard worker, and again, thank you for taking part in that, and we couldn't have done it without Justin from the police department. It was a good day. Putnam Industrial Park updates. A letter of intent has been received for the purchase of Lot 5, pending zoning approval for the project. The Metal Mast property has been sold, and a meeting is being scheduled to discuss future plans with the new property owner. He had asked to wait a couple weeks after the closing. The closing has already taken place. Grant proposal updates. I'm awaiting notification on the OPM Main Street Investment Fund and an update to this report. I have heard from the Connecticut Main Street Preservation and Place Funding, and we were awarded that grant for $10,000 for a wayfinding project, which was really one of the action items that was taken from the community conversations from Vision 2020. And they also asked if they could use that grant as a model grant proposal to show other municipalities how to write a good grant. And that was really a collaboration, with the town planner and myself. Let's see, ongoing projects, Putnam Foundry cleanup, as you all may know, Mr. Kalo has passed away, so, that may hold things up a little bit, we don't know yet. The community garden, sidewalk planning for funding, the Cultural Alliance First Fridays, and the Story Walk. We have a new volunteer that is helping us put up the Story Walk new books. The second one is supposed to go up this weekend, I don't know if it's been done yet. And we had a call from the Wyndham Library, and they met with me last week to ask how to go about doing it. They'd like to do the exact same thing in a couple of their parks in Wyndham. And it was their suggestion that they'll do 5 books, we'll do 5 books or 10 books, whatever, and we share the books, because you don't really want to put the same, for instance, the same October book last year as you do next October. So we could share those resources, and so I thought that was a great idea.
Thank you.
That's it.
Questions or comments?
You know I'm gonna ask a
Yes,
question.
sir.
Hey, a couple things, I know in talking to the Thompson Housing, what I'm doing with them, that the grant has to be, ready for 4/1, April 1st, they moved up the application date for the thing. I would like to go forward with sidewalks, and that's just my personal opinion, for 2 reasons, because of the closeness of the application date, and the fact is that according to CDGB, they want bid documentation is ready to go. From what I understand tonight, out of my other meeting, that they want the bid documents ready to go.
Okay, well, we don't have those ready to go.
No, but I was thinking NECOG, we got an engineer on service, you know what I'm saying? We could bring it in to look at different,
Yep.
where the sidewalks are, and get these bid documents and get the specifications, what we needed, because we're paying for it. If we get from what I understand is, because they moved it up, that there's gonna be very few people are gonna be ready with their bid documentation.
We ran into that problem with the Main Street Investment Fund, because they do not want to put the money into the planning part. They want bricks and mortar, they want something ready to go. So we need to do more planning on that. We need to do more strategic planning, master plans for projects that we want to do in the future. When I talked to Lisa Lowe and Associates, she was a little hesitant on the sidewalks, and I said that is the #1 priority and I'm saying that only because Mayor Place has received many, many written complaints, email complaints, and he's handing them over to me. I'm keeping them in a file, and when you have actual letters written by citizens, then that's great food for fodder when you bring them to the state.
Now, on that, didn't we have some handicap cuts of the sidewalks? Did we ever finish them? I don't remember.
It's in the report.
Huh?
I thought I put it in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe I didn't.
Is that for Public Works? Or?
No, that was a grant, right, with the state grant?
I think we have a meeting scheduled very shortly to go over proceeding.
Okay.
And in fact, I'm sorry, it's out for comment. It's out for public comment now through the end of this year. And once that's finished, then we can move forward. The bid, the specs, and the design have all been done.
And do we have the money in place to get?
Yes, we do have the money.
But, my thing is, if the 3 of you could get together with the engineer, that would be a good time to get a grant, because I know because of the shortness of this grant, there's going to be very few people. And sidewalks is a good thing, and with all the things, that's just my opinion.
Well, we also have that walkability audit that was done for the Visions 2020. So connect all those. I don't know what streets the curb cuts are on, but maybe that's part of the priority part that we're talking about.
I think that's part of the priority. Can I see if you
Well, we could do it in all the low-income neighborhoods.
Yeah, anything in the special services low income.
Yeah, well, we have some areas that are really, really crucial, like South Main Street, and a lot of that, and you have to go where people are walking. And we have to, we really need to talk about the sidewalk ordinance too, as far as when people are responsible to repair, you know, there has to be some kind of, how do they repair it and with what product do they repair it? Because then it just becomes cracking and, but we'll talk about that another time.
Were you at my last meeting? I just asking. We had that conversation.
Oh, okay.
It
If you
is-
let me know what it is, I'll gladly come to the next one.
We will.
The money from the municipal brownfield pilot program, with CME Associates, you already picked them as a consultant, I would assume.
We went through an RFP process.
RFP process. Now, where's the money coming from? You like the that, or,
That's the Connecticut DECD,
okay,
and it's called the Municipal Brownfields Project. It's for lead and asbestos abatement on Cargill Falls Mill.
okay.
Yeah.
And then a couple, what is on, C, under the marketing, strategy, what does SWOT stand for?
That's a SWOT analysis, that's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We did a SWOT analysis in our Visions 2020 when we had the community conversation, and we talked about the greater downtown area, and actually citizens, business people, some boards attended also, and they asked, what do you think the strengths are? What do you think the weaknesses are? And out of that, and that's what we're doing through this marketing analysis, is you come together with a comprehensive, you may find out that some of your threats really may be actual opportunities. And so it's just setting up action plans from that.
I think that sounds,
I'd like to ask a couple, I won't keep as long as that.
That's okay. I'm here to serve.
On 88 Main, any of those plans that he's discussing on what he's doing inside that building?
This is only for the facade. He has to do the build out on the inside. He has letters of intent. One of my questions was, is the boutique hotel idea still going forward?
Is that really
And
known?
he's got to come before zoning.
I mean, because it says he has construction document, anticipated construction documents.
Only for the facade, only for this project.
Because I know he was talking to that, and I'd also heard something about some water on the roof and open fires. I'm sure the fire
No,
marshal really
no.
concerned about
There-
that.
There was conversations a long time ago about doing rooftop dining,
Yes.
which I think is an awesome idea.
Yeah.
But with rooftop dining, you have other things. You have structure analysis for what that top floor will be. There's a lot more weight. There are some cities that have them, they're hugely successful, but he knows he has to address that in a different way. And that won't be in this phase one.
Okay. In the industrial park, who is interested in the lot? And what do they do?
This is what I brought to the zoning commission before,
Which one?
as far as, natural gas redoing,
They're still interested in the
Converted.
property even though it's not permitted? They want to come in and buy that property even
No,
though it's
no.
not permitted?
A letter of intent is only based on it's not a purchase and sales agreement. It's only that they have an interest in that lot based on, just like, the crematorium had to do, they had to come for a special exception. They will only move forward if they can have all their permits in place, everything has been sanctioned by the town. It's not a purchase and sales agreement. So they have to go through all of their,
Okay. And thirdly, you said Peter Palo passed away. Doesn't his sister actually own the property?
it's my understanding it's in a trust.
The Wolf Den Trust, right? It's a Wolf Den or something like that.
I think a Wolf Den is a defunct, yes, I don't know what the name of it is anymore.
I'm just curious why that was
Yeah.
slowed down, because he really didn't have much to do with it, did he?
Well, if it's in a trust, if
He
he's a
controls trusts. She used to
trustee,
control it, because I've done a lot of
Yeah.
business with him in the
yeah,
past,
if
and it
he's
was
a
always up to her.
trustee, then you have it depends on what's named in the trust, and I'm just getting my banking knowledge from that. So if he is the only trustee involved in the trust, then it goes to anybody named in there to be the next trustee in line. If there's no next trustee in line, then it has to go to court, and somebody has to be appointed as a
I
trustee.
don't even know if his sister's still alive, but she used to
Yeah.
make all the decisions pretty much, and I don't know, do you
But
know
if
if
she's
his
not-
sister's still there?
No, I've only had contact with the nephew.
Oh, okay, that would be, okay.
Yeah, and if she's the one that's listed and the nephew is not, and she's passed, that means it's gotta go to court and a successor trustee has to be named.
I'd just like to see it get going and get
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it is.
I'm just curious.
She
Thank
may
you,
have
Doc.
made all the decisions, but if she wasn't named, it doesn't really make a difference.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Delpo. Building official report, I didn't see Lee here this evening, but in your packet, Lee did give a report of what activities he has going on right now. There was quite a bit of,
What can they possibly be doing for $500,000?
That's what I was just thinking.
incredible.
Oh, that's the extra drive-through
Drive-through,
lane.
Drive-through.
Drive-through.
Rehabbing the inside.
Whole outside.
Cleaning the
Yeah.
outside.
Spend it.
It looks like a bank building today.
Yeah.
It really doesn't look like a McDonald's, but
As for tax rolls, and we have the
Yeah.
permit.
Yeah, I think that, that this year in the budget, I would like that to go full time in the building for I'm seeing more and more things coming
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
We have to
Were you-
move along with it.
I said, was he at my meeting?
I did tell them about it, though.
Yeah.
Football game.
Okay.
And with this kind of money coming in.
Yeah.
Item 10 is town administrator's report. Doug?
Unfortunately, Delta took my thunder on a lot of these.
Yeah.
Dollars on that, sure. Wishful thinking.
I'm sure they'll have a lot of questions for you too.
I'm sure they will too. Community collaborative meeting, there was a meeting that was scheduled where representatives of all the major nonprofit agencies were present. They from the hospital and school departments. And this was basically to get all the agencies together at one place because we were concerned about duplication of effort and the possibility of collaboration with all the individuals at the table. So this, again, was just the beginning effort to understand the various things about the coordination and communication of services for families and seniors in the area. And we decided that we should invite additional agencies. For instance, United Services was not at the table. TIG was not at the table, so there are certain agencies that should be included. They decided that aside from just focusing on one particular county, they thought that it would be good if we expanded it to be the basic area covered by the Northeastern Council of Governments. But we wouldn't exclude any participants, so if another town wanted to come to the table, we certainly would not kick them out. And a steering committee, again, I'm on that steering committee, and we are going forward to establish an action plan and strategy for future meetings group. And the future meeting of the entire group will be scheduled sometime in January. Yukon Technology Park, as Delta mentioned, we did have a delegation there. And the park is planned to be a platform for taking research into practical applications. And they are going to be concentrating on Connecticut's manufacturing strengths. Of course, that's aerospace, defense, biotechnology, pharmaceutical, which is also biomedical device, which is up in our area as a cluster up here in Putnam. And additive manufacturing. Again, as Delta mentioned, they would like to keep the firms in the state, and they think that by developing a technology park, this will be able to offer something to the firms to keep them here and grow an entrepreneurial spirit. And again, the park will be built to work towards Yukon strengths and whatever they provide through the University of Connecticut in terms of chemistry and mechanical engineering and chemical engineering and things of that nature. And it's only intended to be a starter park and will not compete with established and proposed industrial parks, for instance, our regional technology park. And in fact, we see it as a bonus because new businesses merging out of the park will need large spaces as they take their products to commercial application. So we certainly will continue to stay in touch with the Yukon, particularly the individuals that are involved with the technology park development, and to offer ways that we can collaborate with the park in the future. Again, the Regional Economic Development Marketing Strategy, this came out of our attempts to look at the technology park as a regional entity, and instead of the Council of Governments wanting to move full swing into working with us on a regional basis to the technology park, it was felt that a first step was needed, and that was developing a marketing strategy. So they're first doing brainstorming sessions and focus groups. Our group was comprised of town planners and one chief executive official from Pomfret. And other groups that were invited to attend, other focus groups were the business and other community leaders and local retailers. And from this, the firm that was hired to facilitate it, CERC, will be developing a plan for marketing program based on the input from the sessions. ECHIP is the East Connecticut Health Insurance Collaborative, and I'm on the board. And at our last meeting, the group was provided with the analysis of illnesses and conditions and medical and pharmacy utilization for the previous claim period, and you note the claim period that I mentioned. And this is give us an idea of, from a benchmark standpoint, where we stand or where we're going up in terms of utilization or going down. And then again, it's compared against the norm group, which represents Cigna's Northeast Municipal Clients Average. And again, this is all of Cigna's client base. So one trend identifies that roughly half the population has been identified as having some form of chronic condition, with hypertension being the top driver. And some opportunities were identified where that cost per member per spouse were higher than typical results, both in total and excluding catastrophic claim events. And there were also lower rates of preventative care for enrolled spouses. So this is one area that we feel that we can work on in terms of getting the spouses more involved through the program, the various programs that are available through Cigna for preventative care, and also for educational opportunity for plan participants to engage spouses about benefits and health planning. This Thursday we have a meeting where Cigna is going to be presenting the premium for the next fiscal year. So we'll be attending that and finding out exactly where we stand and how that will impact our budget. I was in attendance at a fact-finding hearing on the Dunn versus Putnam CHRO case. I was called as a witness, and other witnesses on behalf of the town were Lee Post, our building official, John Miller, and Joe Nash, who were members of the Board of Finance at the time that her position was eliminated from the budget, whatever, in that particular fiscal year. In regard to the EDC, I attended meetings of both agencies and the Redevelopment Authority. And Don Johnson and I made an extensive presentation on the Quinebaug Regional Technology Park. So we went into the history of the development of the park, the theme for the park being an eco-industrial park, and various options for the governance structure of the park. And we hope that at the next meeting that we will review those options with the commission, and then decisions will be made on the theme for the park and the governance structure to use. And we hope to have a meeting where a tour will be taken of the park, and I think that one of the tentative dates is January 2nd. I saw today.
There were a
Okay.
couple dates, yeah.
Yeah, I had a furlough day today, so I didn't
okay.
see him, yeah.
So, because the next meeting is, I think, is January 8th. So, we'd like to have them out to see the park before they meet at their next meeting. I've also attended the high school building committee meeting, the cost board meeting, the Council of Small Towns board meeting, and the WPCA monthly meeting and DCOG's annual meeting. In regard to the WPCA, I continue to work on the various documents needed to support the upcoming issuance of bond anticipation notes scheduled in January. And again, this is for the continuation of the well fields and sewer treatment plant project financing. And I'm working on the official statement, which each year requires updating before we go out to the issuance of the bond anticipation notes. And we've been working, Paul and I have been working with the bond counsel and financial advisor, and particularly important since Paul is leaving by the end of this month. So we want to have all this paperwork together so that when the bonds are issued sometime mid-January, that in her absence, that we'll be prepared to be able to go forward with it with the least amount of any problems that might crop up at that time. For your information, our employee Xmas party is this Friday at J.D. Cooper's at noon. Members of the Board of Selectmen are certainly welcome to attend. We also have a meeting scheduled for sometime at the beginning of the year for the Route 44 Poplar Street Bridge over the Quinebaug River. So that is on the Connecticut's radar. I think you noticed out there that there were surveyors out there probably working in relationship to putting that project forward. And for your information, the WPCA did select the Beta Group as the engineering and consulting engineering firm for the pipe replacement relining. project, and they selected WMC, which is the, on the bridge project, the Recreation Road Bridge project, and the Woodstock Avenue Bridge #1 over the Little River. And they currently are the bridge company, the bridge engineering firm that's working on all our current bridges.
Was it?
WMC is Wendell, McDonald, and McConnell, or something like that. And as Selectman Sonnet had mentioned, relative to the curb cuts, there is a notice out, a public notice out in the town crier that people who would like to review the plans, they have until December 31st, which come in to review them and to express any comment. There will not be a public hearing on that project, but it's one of the steps that we have to follow in terms of proceeding to get that project done. So with that, I'm ready to answer any questions.
Could you give me a copy where the curb cuts are?
Sure.
When you get a chance, please. I had something written down. That's going to be an open bar Friday?
No.
That's it.
You might even have to take your soda.
Further questions of Doug? Good.
Doug, just on that sidewalks, the engineer down at Meadcock State to do sidewalk
Yes, it can.
spec.
In fact, he's already done it for a number of other towns in the region, so we can just build upon that.
Right.
And he quickly can come in here and do a survey and find out where we stand. So.
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you,
It's
Doug.
all, basically your construction cost is all based on linear foot, based on the whatever the spec standards.
Demolition and removal.
That's right.
Doug, just one question, under the letter that we got from O'Connell, Atmore, and Morris on John Perry.
Yes.
Do I need to bring that up under petitions and communications?
Yes.
And I went past it.
You went
You
past
went-
it.
yeah.
So if I can, just take a moment to go back to petitions and communications, and is it in your packet, you see the letter that has been received by our town attorney. And Joe, do you just want to maybe do a quick review of
Again, this was the follow-up from last meeting where you had made a motion to send a certified letter to the Perrys in regard to having their fence removed.
Doug, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt. Do we need a motion to add this?
Yes.
Yep,
You
sorry,
already-
yep.
You already did it?
We did that.
We did that at the beginning of the meeting, didn't we?
No, we didn't.
No.
You
No,
didn't
we're going to do
call
that
motion.
under new business, yeah. I would need a motion to add this
Motion to add this.
item under petitions and communications,
So moved.
item C.
Second.
I have motion and second discussion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, so carried. There we go.
So again, on the basis of that letter that was going to be sent, Attorney St. Arch did inform the attorney representing the Perrys of that the letter would be forthcoming. And in the meantime, knowing that there were going to be certain action that was going to be taken by the town to remove the fence, the Perrys went ahead and had the fence removed. And then they followed up with this letter in regard to some of the other problems that they have said have been ongoing at this time. So, this property is currently under the jurisdiction of the Parks and Recreation Commission. And so if you wanted to,
It'd be my recommendation that we turn over to Parks and Recreation for their action and brought back before the Board of Selectmen. That's what I'd like to see.
Did we tear down that house? Do you remember? Anybody got any records of it? When it was
I'm
torn
sure there
down?
are records of them tracking down.
Could we just check with the building office to
Sure.
see where the demolition permit was issued and who did the demolition? Because if there's an oil tank in the ground, whoever did it better take it out. Nobody in the town. That's that.
He
Any
wasn't,
further
he wasn't
questions?
born when the house was taken down. He wasn't, no. I was about 6 years old, so. Yeah, I don't. And did they burn oil back then? We had kerosene,
Yeah.
but.
Something new.
For coal.
Yeah, if there's no record, there's no record.
Exactly.
There's no problem.
I need a motion to turn over Parks and Recs to,
Second.
motion and second, further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Before we move further, can I add the second item to the agenda before I forget? In your packet, you have a resolution regarding the assistant treasurer. I need to have a motion made tonight to temporarily appoint the assistant treasurer of the town of Town of Putnam. The responsibilities as assistant treasurer shall include to perform all functions of the treasurer when so directed by the treasurer, to the extent absence of the treasurer or town recognition of completion of term of office. This allows us to carry on the daily responsibilities of office, and I'd like to be able to add that to the agenda just prior to going into executive session under 12A.
So moved.
Second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Thank you. Item B is Triad Municipal Smoking Ordinance to ban smoking on municipal properties. Michael, I saw you were here.
Another thing I can report is with NDDH, I know Linda's been very busy with College 50.
Right.
So I won't be meeting her until next month. So I probably won't have anything to do until the first meeting in February.
Very good. Thank you, Michael.
Can we just have that removed so we wouldn't have to come to every meeting? Can we have it removed until February and put
Yeah.
it back on then?
Yeah. Michael is always welcome around the meetings. Item C is prioritizing the regional shared services. Doug, if you go ahead with that.
Again, this is the regional incentive program that is hopefully will be available. Of course, I've heard some discussion that that might be one of the items that will be, because of the state budget deficit, might not be available. But on the basis that it might be available, those were the things that you prioritized among the selectmen as to the GIS, the GPS program. What was the other things? Alternative fuels was another item. The shared, the youth assessment,
Cat house.
the cat house, and other things that were on the list. So there will have to be a resolution by this board of selectmen to go forward with those items, and it's sort of like the NECOG, I think, is prepared to send them all and to see which ones come out of the mix. But there will have to be each of the towns will have to pass a resolution in support of
Are we
applying
gonna
for this program.
pass a resolution in regards to everything that's listed on this?
Yes.
And are they gonna prioritize it? If we pass a full resolution, is NECOG gonna look at all the towns and then prioritize it themselves beyond what we do?
Right.
In other words, we're gonna vote on everything that they sent us, is that a correct statement? And then they will prioritize it down further when all the towns come in and.
That's correct. It's the same thing we had to do with the revaluation. You know, they had to get a resolution of each of the towns to support that. So. But that won't. We'll bring that up at the next meeting. So either the next meeting or the second meeting.
Make sure we have a complete list for
Right.
everybody who can.
And I don't think the NECOG has even met on it as a group because there wasn't a forum at the last
Right.
meeting. So.
Item D is the Armory lease agreement with
We have not
WPCA.
gotten the completed or the draft lease yet from the town attorney.
Item 12, I guess I'm going to move each item down one slot. A would be adding, I need a resolution this evening that I spoke about a little bit earlier. It allows us to name under town charter Eileen to be confirmed as the assistant, to take over as the assistant treasurer of Town of Putnam. The responsibility of assistant treasurer should be to include to perform all functions of the treasurer when so directed by the treasurer in the extended absence of the treasurer or the treasurer's resignation or completion of term of office. Specifically and without limiting the foregoing upon the completion of the term of the current treasurer on December 28, 2012, the Assistant Treasurer shall fulfill the responsibilities of Treasurer until such time as a successor is appointed, including but not limited to executing documents as required to implement capital project financing.
So move.
I have a motion, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Would it be
Take a B.
all right if I take B up at the end of the meeting to go into executive session?
Yep.
We'll take care of it.
You want a motion to move that to, after public comments?
Yes,
I move that we move, item B now, right, or C?
would be, yeah.
Item C, item B
Yeah,
to, after public comment section
Item
of
F?
this, agenda.
so I have a motion and a second. Everybody understands the motion? Well, we're gonna bring
It's
it
gonna
up.
be in between 13 and 14, so it's gonna be like 13A.
Yeah.
No, it would be, I believe it would be under new business, but probably, yeah.
I think he said after public comment, right?
After, yeah, after
Right,
public.
that
After
would make
public.
it 13A.
Okay, that's
13A.
fine.
Or how about 13.5?
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Item C, resignation of Donald St. Onge from the EDC and RDA effective December 1st, 2012. We have a letter in the packet explaining Don, as you know, is taking a new position and can no longer attend our meetings. And I for one want to say thank you for the time that he gave the town, and it would be a pleasure.
So moved.
With regret.
With regrets, okay. I have a motion and a second.
I'm sorry, second.
Alan, did you second it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Item D is a library board building committee alternate named Kathleen DiPilato to a full member of the, to fulfill a vacancy on the committee. What would be a pleasure?
Second.
A motion and a second, discussion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, so carried. Item E is approval of bills.
Make a motion we pay and unapproved bill.
Second. Have motion and second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. All of the business to lawfully come before such meeting. John?
I have a couple things actually, but do that one first.
Doesn't this have to go to be
It has to go
recorded?
to-
Yeah, it's gonna be recorded with
Yeah.
Sarah.
With Sarah first. Before we can, yeah. Yeah, that's what
Before we
Sarah
can
first,
move on it.
yeah. Or I'll catch heck from you know who. Because I've already caught heck from her a couple of times. But it does have to be. Money, you haven't caught heck with anybody, have you?
I'm perfect.
Yeah. Keep that one, I'll do that tomorrow.
All right.
Also, in light of the situation we've recently had in down by Danbury with the shooting at the schools and stuff, I think this board should get a little more active on getting some police in that school system full time. We have a $16 million budget now for the Board of Ed. I think it's time we start thinking about putting someone in that school, protect those kids and keep an eye on things. Other schools that do similar situations, they call the resource officer. But I honestly believe there should be someone in there who can monitor those doors, because once the school opens, the doors are closed, it's pretty much locked from the outside. There needs to be someone there who can watch, so if something does come down or does happen, you have someone on site immediately to take care of the situation. I think if there was someone in that school, we wouldn't have so many dead children right now. And it's not a big ticket item. We're fortunate to have an elementary school and a middle school that are kind of connected, and a high school. So you could literally put one in each, like, one in the elementary, middle school, and one in the high school, and if it was an issue during opening and closing, maybe have a patrol car come in during the opening and closing, but it's getting a little ridiculous, this stuff that's going on, and I think we should maybe just put something on the agenda, or start looking into something, get the Board of Ed in here, the police department, look into something to try to offset some of these problems that's going on.
I would want something from Rick in regards to how he feels about it. Alternatives, a retired police officer that might work part-time. You know, there's all other alternatives to cut down the overhead, but I would like your thoughts on it at some point, Rick.
I think too, the Board of Ed is.
Yeah, the Board of Ed, but I think
it's their
that the Board of
budget,
Ed,
so
yeah,
I think
yeah.
we can do recommendations, and I wholeheartedly agree that we should probably get together and have those conversations and start them with everybody.
We had these conversations for 4 years. I beat my head against a cement wall for 4 years trying to sell it to 3 different boards in this town. Towards the end, everybody was in agreement that it was the right thing to do, but nobody wanted to pay for it. Putting the information together, Bonnie, is just going to be a matter of dusting off some papers, because I put it together for 4 years.
Right.
So that's
Could
not
you
a
get a
big-
copy to the board, to our board members and the school board members again, and we could, you know, because I think that, I think this particular incident, and me being in law enforcement, unless the person was right there, I don't think, with the time span that I'm looking at from this incident, and being a retired state trooper, unless the armed person, or if there was a law enforcement official in the school, unless he was within 100 feet of this incident, I don't think it could have been prevented, from what I'm reading, what I'm hearing. That's just my professional opinion at this point, until we get more information. But unless the police officer is right there, I don't think, because the distance of
Those few
the
seconds.
initial point of entry and the point where the classrooms were such in a small, minute distance or area, you know, that I don't know if it could have been prevented unless somebody was almost there, but it done.
The security factor that goes with the school resource officer is a very slim part of his job. And that was never the main selling point for a school resource officer. It's more the interaction between the officer and the students, and the officer and the faculty, and the trust that's built between the students and the officer for someone to come to. And it's been proven across the country that a number of these types of incidents have been prevented only because people knew about it and trusted the school resource officer enough to go to it. You and I are on the same page. I agree with you 100%. The chances of a single school officer preventing something like this is slim to none. Quite honestly, the chance of any town or any community in the entire United States preventing some of this is slim to none. It's a reactive type thing. My thought on school resource officers I put together, like I said, for 4 years. I still strongly believe in my heart that a school resource officer in this town, 1 or 2, is something that we need, and something that we're depriving our children by not having them in the schools. I have the packages, I have the information, I'd be happy to give it back to the boards again. The bottom line is it's going to come down to the almighty dollar and who's going to pay for it.
And Ricky, logistically, again, I get a little confused with the special service district and the town. This would be a town-wide, you'd be paid by the town as opposed to the special service district, even though you're in the special service district.
The Board of Ed budget.
Yeah, basically it would be a reimbursement to the special service district, or a payment to the special service district for the use of their employees in the school. The school resource officer still has to come under control of the police chief, who is an employee of the special service district. So, you know, we can't split this up and say the school resource officer is an employee of the town and the other police officers are an employee of the district. It's a matter of a reimbursement to the district to pay for their employees.
And Scott's taking care of that right now.
Well, more what I was thinking also was, and I don't have an issue with who pays for it, I think the Board of Ed is doing it, it's everybody in town anyway who should be paying for it. But when this situation that happened recently, didn't that guy come through the front door, right in front of the offices, and go to the office? the school office and go right in?
They had one of
Shut
the.
the door out and they
Shut
went
the
in.
door out.
Now, if that officer was in that main office, when you walk through that door, monitoring door things, he would have been right there when that kid came through. He wouldn't have been down the end.
If he was there at that
Let me finish, please. Now, I understand your other stuff goes along kind of like guidance counselor type stuff a little bit. I'm looking more towards, not to get, because the school has guidance counselors. We have all kinds of money for special ed that we spend on them type of things. I'm talking someone to actually monitor those openings in that building and stay on there for that purpose only. I mean, interacting with the kids is one thing, but we have guidance counselors, we have, be right there where they come in. They couldn't come in any door, obviously, but you would have access to watching, those schools, are they monitored, all those doors? On a screen?
Don't
know
think
it's always are.
it's not all of them.
But just someone right there, and that's their total job to take care of. Because if they had someone in that office that day in that position, we wouldn't be looking at what we're looking
I
at.
don't know if you need a police officer for, if you want more of a security person to watch the monitors, to make sure all the doors are
Yeah, but
closed.
a security person can't go boom and hit the person coming through the door with a gun. You want someone there who is qualified to do that type of tactical work inside a building. You guys are trained for the inside school tactical work. Someone's gonna need to be trained in that type of activity. Of something going on in a school, which you guys are trained for that, but I'm just saying, someone that's there for that purpose. Because a security guard, we're not looking for shoplifters, we're looking to take out somebody coming through that door and harm kids.
I think it probably Rick will agree with me. I think that, especially in his position and his group of patrolmen, they've been working with the schools in regards to that, to hope to lessen the fact that it could happen, but if it does happen, the response time of the police, especially within the city of Putnam, would be almost instantaneously, not like the state police, but at least the city police would be almost instantaneously, I would assume. Because I know Rick could make it from there to the school pretty quick if he had to. So I'm just saying that's just.
What about, when that issue in Columbine, they weren't allowed to go in that building for 40 some odd minutes. They were not allowed to go until other officers arrived.
Times
Is that still valid?
have changed and training has changed.
You can go in immediately.
Immediately, but once they get, all the training now is immediately if there's a call from a school district, regardless of the school district, if there's a call after Columbine and the other districts, they found out that you immediately enter that building. You do not wait for any command. You just go in there. You don't wait for any SWAT team. You just go in there and try and locate the individual that's responsible. And that's a training, and that training took over. If they were there in a few minutes earlier, they would have prevented a lot more. They actually did. In hindsight, I know it's hard to believe.
That's just food for thought. I know we should just be looking at.
Thank you, John.
Some others.
Item 13, public comment. Any further public comment this evening? Yes?
I got a question for Doug. Doug, on the technology part, we have an updated map of the lots, or?
We have just the we have the conceptual plan that's been provided by the state of Connecticut. So,
Inland Wetlands, we're working on that?
not yet, until we get to a more definitive, application.
Further public comment? So beautiful, right?
I'd just like to thank you for the work on Bowl Street. I know it's been a thorn in your side for many years, and I do appreciate when Mom would have came, but she would have missed her 8 to 10 movie, and that wasn't going to happen. I told her yesterday.
What are we missing?
Hopefully it won't bother you too much.
We're gonna have to have you dig up that oil tank, though.
Greg.
I'll do that. I don't mind. I'll take the tractor and we'll tuck her right in.
I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second on the motion. Motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, so carried. Thank you all.